Everybody, now I am discussing I am making a projection of the topics which are very, very important for 2022 UPSC mains exam for PSIR optional. I am discussing on paper 1, section B, which is Indian government and politics. Indian government and politics, that section has 11 chapters, and these 11 chapters can be divided into 4 parts. The first part is national freedom movement, its evolution, and then achieving independence and establishing constitutional democracy in India. So this is the first part, and then second part is constitutional provision, which is making separation power, distribution of power, which is creating institutions, which is giving these institutions some some capacity to work on various important nation building programs. And then next one is socio-political issues, socio-economic issues, which have either direct or indirect linkage with Indian politics. Okay, so these the areas are the third part, and the final part is social movements. Basically new social movements, or you can say that how civil society and Indian states are interrelated, or how they maintain an interrelationship. Okay, so this is how the 4 areas are divided. Okay, and from all areas questions will come. Definitely I will again say that IGP questions are easy, but when the questions are easy, then obtaining or getting high number becomes very challenging. So don't take it so easily, because I can answer, everybody can answer. Okay, and if everybody can answer, then how the number can be decided in that. Okay, so that becomes a concern. However, okay, in the national movement, freedom movement area, there are 2 parts. One is that movement. Okay, various groups are working, various thoughts are working, various approaches are working in that, and then the whole movement is guided by various perspectives. So that is another area. Last year there is no direct question from this area, but otherwise every year there is a question. So therefore all the topics within this chapter is a possibility, but definitely Gandhi's non-cooperation, civil disobedience, they remain very important. And then all the perspectives. Last year I think there was one perspective, social perspective came, one perspective came. So those perspectives which did not come, okay, they are very important, like moderate, then liberal, then Dalit, then even radical humanist perspectives. All these perspectives are important. Okay, and mainly to make them separate. Okay, because a lot of overlapping areas are there, and so unless you carefully read, then it would be a problem. Now when you read, what happens that mostly we read history books, okay, or the books, political history written by historian. Okay, now that is predominantly a historical approach, but when you are writing a political science answer, it should have that political science dimension, and that is what your mentor or guide will help you when you are going through the test series, or maybe when you have attended the classes. Okay, and also it will be in the notes in that approach. That should be there, and you must pick up those areas. Not mere history will not add strength to the answers. Then there are Government of India Act 1958. Okay, and then 1919, then 1935, 1947. These Government of India Acts are very important, and 37 is an India Independence Act. 1935, 1919 is very important, and in between there are some other acts, okay, charter acts, okay. They are also like 1872, 1893, 1909, okay, Morley-Minto, that Reform Act which is called. They also are important. Because through these acts, our own, though in a little way, but a kind of legislative assembly system has grown. Okay, and different laws have come. People's representative systems were introduced. So those things one need to know. And finally, in that, the Constituent Assembly is formed, and this constitution making is a process from 1935 to 1947, and there are in between a lot of small happenings are there. There is quit movement, there is cabinet mission, there is Atlas initiative, there is Mountbatten initiative. All small things are there, and one must know them very categorically. That is what I want to say. Whatever you know very categorically, not superficially, not half done. Okay, so that you can mention them properly. And after that, the constitution part comes. Whenever you are writing an answer on constitution, keep one thing in mind, that constitution requires at least some reference to constitutional article wherever it is relevant, and then if there is any good judgment, very popular judgment which everybody should know, then that also deserves a mentioning in the answer. So that is constitution part. That this part has to be dealt from Indian constitution perspective. And since you are reading GS2 and you have read the constitution for your prelim and also in your school days, I think that you should not get much of problem. But definitely those, because they don't require merely a constitution type of answer. That they don't require. They require a political answer. Always keep it in mind that they require a political answer. So political dimension has to be there, but its citation, other things should come from constitutions and other related area. And also when you are dealing with the freedom movement, making of the constitution, then maybe Gandhi, then Ambedkar, then Bipan Chandra, then Yad Desai, those kind of references may come. Okay, and there are many other references. But when you are going to the constitution, maybe Subhash Kashyap, D.K. Basu, those who are constitutional expert, that may be more appropriate. Okay, so even Ambedkar. Okay, so you'll have to see that what kind of references will fit better. And these are all very important things. And then definitely you'll have to articulate them properly. These areas are starting with fundamental rights, preamble, citizenship, and it ends with the Panchayati Raj. Okay. Now merely, definitely you have to know 73rd, 74th Amendment Act, then PESA, and also you'll see that which way local government has help in empowerment, help in bringing marginalization in the decision making process, help in raising political consciousness, political participation, political representation, which way it has enlarged the canvas of democracy, which way is it taking democracy at the grassroots level. So that is what I am calling that political dimension. Okay, and those areas you must give some insights which look very sound, which look very creative, innovative, and it should show that you have really sincerely exercised on them. And there are certain institutions, commissions, UPSC, election commissions. This is a comparatively an easy area, and if you know the relevant article and their role, okay, and what do they do, not their composition, not their function that much, but which way they really contribute to strengthen Indian democracy, Indian political system, okay, or those who are in government, make them accountable, okay, or make whole procedural administrative areas more accountable, governance system better. That will be giving you capacity to write these answers. And then it goes to the other areas, which is federalism. Okay, now coalition politics, regional parties, various partisan dimensions, ideological dimensions, those areas will be coming into that. Then role of caste, role of religion, okay, role of identity. These are areas which have to be very, very contemporary. Okay, not very old history kind of thing will do. And again, the references will be changing here. Okay, maybe Ranajit Giar's reference or Neera Chandak's reference, those kind of references will be more appropriate in these areas. Okay, you'll have to see that where now if you deal with Subhash Kashyap or DK Basu, they may not fit much. Okay. Here you will see that who are the people who are writing on these areas, okay, and that will give you or make your answer stronger. In this area, there is also a topic that is called Chapter 8, that is planning. Now earlier we have approach, planned development. Now we have come to the non-planned development, not unplanned but non-planned development. It's more open, private, public initiative or absolutely private initiative. So privatization, liberalization, globalization, which is called liberal LPG. And these areas, are very important, in which these, various PSUs are getting privatized. Okay, then foreign direct investment is coming. Which way they are influencing our economic system or political economic approach. Those areas we'll have to deal with. Okay, and whether the earlier development approach was better, or what was the contribution of earlier development approach, which way today's development approach is benefiting, or it is where its shortcomings or limitations can be identified, which way they can be improved upon, because you cannot go back. So you'll have to be futuristic, you have to be future looking. So therefore you'll have to see that which way they can be made better. So, merely criticizing, merely finding limitations will not help. You'll have to also give a way out. So this is what you are, you will show that I am a civil servant quality. This section is ending with party system. So party, then pressure group, okay, and then coalition politics, regional party, national party, and India is a very complex labyrinth kind of partisan network. Okay, and these areas you'll have to know why regional parties are coming, which way they are contributing, which way they can be a block, or they can be a barrier, challenge. All these things, how one party domination is transformed into multi-party participation. Okay, all these areas you'll have to know very, very clearly, not superficially, not like ordinary parlor talk kind of thing. You have to know very category, and that categorical knowledge requires a lot of exercise, a lot of brain work, a lot of discussion with your peer group, with your mentor, with your guide. Okay, and then writing them to see that what you are thinking, whether really that is coming in your writing properly. There can be a language problem, there can be expression problem, there can be a speed problem, lot of problems can be there. Each problem has a solution. So you'll have to work on them, and you have 100 days in hand. So go accordingly and plan. And finally, social movements. Okay, as I said, that these are all new social movements, and new social movements are actually making a new relationship with the state and people, okay, as citizen. So that dimension is important, and that way state is responding to these movements, and these movements are making government accountable. Okay, so these are the areas and which need to be seen from political perspectives. That sometime IGP questions are very, again, straightforward. Okay, they don't make much complications. Okay, but they make complications. Okay, and they would do it in a way so that if you cannot, really unfurl it, then we will not be able to answer it properly. Okay, so this is how do they do. Normally they give straightforward, but don't be too much occupied only with straightforward answer. Also see the twisted question. Like in 2016, that there are 2 ABC, 3 ABC, 4 ABC, this kind of things come. One of these combination of 3 questions will be little twisted. Like in 2016, in all these 3 there is a twisted question. Like critically examine the politics of economic growth in India. Critically examine the politics of economic growth in India. Now they don't want to know about economic growth, so therefore the answer should not be statistical. Neither they want only a political interpretation of our growth. They want economic growth, okay, but what is the politics, around this economic growth, not behind. Okay, now, that means how political economic planning, how politically, what India wanted to achieve out of this economic policy. So, politics behind it. This politics is not this narrow partisan politics. That is what they are not looking for. Okay, what is political mission? What is political strategy? What is political target, objectives? Okay, and how that political plan of action is getting materialized, through economic planning, or how economic planning is enabling political system to function better or grow better, or India become a better political system. So those areas they want discussion. Finally, there is another question called critically examine the provisions made in the Constitution of Environment. Okay, critically estimate the provisions made in the Constitution on environment. Okay, so that means constitutional provision on environment. Okay, now definitely we will go for directive principles. Okay, so that is definitely an area, but also this can be linked with your fundamental rights. Okay, now particularly in these answers, there is a scope to use some of the Supreme Court judgments. There are important judgments on Supreme Court. Okay, whether it is CRZ, whether it is Bhopal gas tragedy, whether Sriram, whether it is pollution. Okay, even the court has a role in giving birth to some of the institutional arrangements in the country. Okay, so a lot of things are there, and those are the areas where you'll have to focus on. Okay, not merely mentioning so and so fundamental rights, so and so directive principle has talked about it. That will be very weak answer. Okay, so this is how they test you. In 2017, they gave a question that how 73rd Amendment Act has empowered women through panchayats in India. Okay, now you see that 73rd Amendment has created Panchayati Raj, local government. Within that, women empowerment is taking. Now you will say there is 33% reservation for women. Now 33% reservation of women will give an access, but this is only an entry point of empowerment. But how that empowerment is manifested, what are its various facets, what are its various expressions? Okay, so those areas need to be focused. Who are those women who are empowered? Okay, who are not empowered earlier but now empowered? Okay, now what is its impact? Okay, so this is how we'll have to go into the subject. 2018, they gave a short question that Indian Constitution is lawyers' paradise. Lawyers means advocate. Okay, those who practice in the court. Okay, Indian Constitution, lawyers' paradise. Okay, now it looks very small question, but why only lawyers? Why not others? That means there are certain very specific areas we'll have to look into. That means which is related to court, which is related to constitutional provisions, and bringing them before the judicial institution, okay, or judicial authority, and then getting some very effective order. Okay, and when a court gives an order, court doesn't just give it on its own. That comes out of the lawyer's pleading. Okay, they give their own thing, then finally court comes to, or judges come to a conclusion based on their jurisprudential understanding or theory of law. Okay, this is where the answer is. Now one may not even go into that or look into that, and then the answer will not be very focused and proper. Then in 2020 there is a question that how inadequate intra-party democracy affects Indian democracy. Okay, so that means it has two areas. One is intra-party democracy, another is Indian democracy. Okay, now inter-party democracy, when it becomes inadequate, okay, which are the areas if you don't do, then it will become inadequate. And if it remains inadequate, okay, then what way it will have impact? It can be positive impact, it can be negative impact. Okay, now which area they really hit, okay, which area really they affect, and that knowledge has to be really categorical, okay, because you have very limited words, you don't have unnecessary, you don't have space for unnecessary talk, and if your argument is loose, then definitely you cannot expect very high number. Then last year there was another interesting question that how party system has a role in shaping federal structure or the federal characteristic of the country. Now, how party structure does it? Okay, now party structure is something, and federal structure is something. Okay, that means there are some linkages, and those linkages you must understand it properly, and then you'll have to practice also that within that limited area. Okay, how can I write it? Have you ever thought that to write an answer of 300 plus, how many sentences you really write? Hardly 15, 16, 17 sentences. Okay. Now within these 15, 16, 17 sentences, you'll have to write an introduction, you'll have to write the content, you'll have to make a critical analysis wherever there is necessary, and then finally you have to end it through estimation. All these things you'll have to do within the 16, 17 sentences. Okay. And you'll have to see that which are these 16 or 17 sentences you must write, and how they should be distributed in different areas of the answers. Okay, and not a single word should be used very loosely, then your answer will be loose. These are the areas you'll have to pay attention, and once you do it this way, I am telling you, your performance in paper 1 will be excellent. Please also you see my other video on paper 1 section A, political theory. Thank you, and I am shortly coming with paper 2 also. All the best.